Good day, folks. Today I want to tell you about my favorite section of the accounting and finance infrastructure. That's costing. Hi, I'm Laura Vandenherk, and I work with individuals and businesses from startups to 100 million. In developed countries, there are saturated markets and pressures to operate sustainably. In 1994, I started working for a company that was totally manual, and I got to learn accounting from being manual. I've taken a couple accounting courses. I took business. I had my undergrad degree, but I really learned how accounting worked from a manual system in a $40 million company. And I've got the privilege to ask if I could work with the computer programmer and build a system to computerize everything. And when we were done computerizing this system, and it was modeled after the manual accounting system, subledgers, ledgers, and journals. And it was fun to debug and test and build with the programmer. But the best part to build was the costing section. It was the most satisfying section to have built and to have worked on. Because once an order was made, a sales order was made, then it went to be invoiced. And when it was invoiced, it would release things from inventory automatically. And then it would put it in a section called costing. And in that section called costing, you could add the taxes, the duties, the customs expenses, and you could add vendors expenses for custom work expense. And you could change this anytime you needed to. Just ask your programmer to do so. It would tie into the balance sheet, the income statement, the way it needed to be. But what it did was it gave a report called the gross margin report. And in a lot of software back then, there wasn't a lot of software that were producing gross margin reports. And when you pair that, like a fine wine, when you pair that with a forecasted net income statement, you had the ability to give the owner where they were going to be. Say you gave it to them on a Friday and it was 1 week into the month. That is where that company was positioned for their net profit. And it was accurate, it was timely, it was easy to do. And if there was variances from the forecasting, you could go through it and figure out where the issues were. Did accounting staff make an error? Was there an error that was made in production? Did one of the production staff use a contract worker that was more expensive than another and then throw off the gross margin? And this would open up communication lines between the production staff and the office, and if there was anyone in between, because often in businesses there is usually a middleman in between, and maybe a decision maker. And this also gave people the information they needed to make the decisions they needed to make. So it was my favorite, most rewardable report ever, and section was costing. And at the end of the month, you could give the owner where they were, where the business was, right down to about $1,000 accuracy in a $40 million company. And they would get their statements 2 days later. So this is why the costing was my baby, and it was my report. And I think every business should know where they are at any time of the month, so that there are no surprises, so that they can steer their ship, their business appropriately. Course correct from any errors, course correct from any things that are happening in the market that they were unaware of. So costing, folks, good decisions begin with great information. So when you are ready to sign up for free time spots in office hours with me, visit my website at www.nakedacresfarmstead.ca. Go to the booking tab, choose Zoom call or phone call. And remember that time spots with me are free for 6 months of the year for years to come. Remember to share and like this video. Cheers, folks.